The philosopher Thomas Kuhn famously wrote about how, contrary to popular belief, scientific knowledge does not necessarily evolve in a linear process. And this is because the scientific community will only approve and validate the production of new knowledge through the use of the theories and knowledge that are already commonly accepted. In other words, the scientific community can only build on existing knowledge through the practice of what Kuhn calls normal science. And so, the knowledge, the events that do not fit within the commonly accepted paradigm, are characterized and dismissed as mere anomalies. This is why Kuhn argues that a true paradigm shift can only be produced through the practice of what he calls rebel science. That is the systematic study and exploration of those so-called anomalies within the system. Eventually, a new paradigm is reached once an ever larger percentage of the scientific community is persuaded by the knowledge produced by this rebel science. The increasing number of anomalies that are present within the current paradigm can no longer be ignored or dismissed. However, Kuhn makes it very clear that in the meantime, those interested in working in rebel science must be prepared to take a leap of faith because their ideas are still rejected by the mainstream scientific community, and a new paradigm has not yet materialized. This is Peace and Conflict Fundamentals. I am Andres Jimenez. So, you decided to take the leap of faith. I know I did. And where I landed was on a ground much more shaky and uneven than I could have ever expected. But I decided to push on because what lay at the other side had piqued my curiosity. The Transrational Paradigm emerged as an alternative to the Mechanistic Paradigm that I had chosen to leave behind. And at its core is an approach that sees the world with curiosity and a profound sense of wonder. Gone is the mechanistic obsession with certainty and a rational pursuit of the truth. And instead, what remains is a recognition of an infinitely complex world that will never be fully understood or explained. And this inability of the rational mind to be able to capture and understand every relevant experience means that there must be an acceptance of an undetermined number of truths and realities. Transrationality also attempts to address issues from a holistic perspective. For example, within the mechanistic paradigm, a manifestation like an addictive behavior will be seen as a problem that can be fixed through a prescribed step-by-step program that this person must follow, as well as a possible increase in the regulations that control the access to the substances or practices that this person is addicted to. A transrational approach instead would ask, why the pain? It would ask, what has caused the pain in your life that you're trying to escape from through these addictive behaviors? And it would focus on understanding and working through the long list of events, circumstances, and experiences in your life that cause this pain. It would focus on seeing addiction as primarily a manifestation of a much deeper issue. And this is also because transrationality does not see start or end points, but rather a cyclical flow of energy between different states and manifestations. The past continues to play a major role in shaping the present moment, and they can't be clearly distinguished. In the same way, peace can't really be built, and conflict is never really fully over. Because the world is never static and in a fixed position. It is dynamic and in constant transformation every single second. And so, complex systems like economic markets or conflict zones are understood to be nonlinear and chaotic. In other words, they don't behave in relatively linear ways, following certain predictable patterns. Instead, the relationships and the elements within these systems are constantly reorganizing themselves in ways that can't really be predicted or fully understood, much less controlled. This also means that the transrational paradigm sees the world not in terms of problems and solutions, but rather in terms of imbalances and adaptations. There is not a quest for an end state, but instead the focus is on ways of working towards a harmonious balance of forces. And so, pre-designed plans and grand theories are replaced by a careful search for locally designed, context-specific, and organic initiatives that manage to thrive in a certain place because of context-specific characteristics. Lastly, transrationality is an attempt to go beyond a rational realm, beyond what we can explain and perceive with our rational mind, in order to also take into consideration the profound role and impact of the spiritual and energetic realms. Within this paradigm, there is a need to value and to take into consideration in our work and in our analyses those experiences that can't be explained in a rational or logical way, that can't be recorded or described through any scientific methodology, but that play a major role in how humans react and give meaning to the world. And so, in a summarized way, the transrational paradigm is not prescriptive, it is elicitive. It is not rigid, it is nimble. It is not linear, it is chaotic. It is not fact-based, it is curious. It is not technical, it is spiritual. It does not solve, it transforms. It does not create, it is a catalyst. It is not modern, it is organic. Moving forward within this paradigm shift can certainly be an unsettling and extremely challenging experience, especially if you have to work with people and institutions that remain very much centered within a mechanistic mindset. And this is why learning how to work within the transrational paradigm is truly an art form. It is a skill that takes time and patience to develop, especially because it calls for the continuous deconstruction of mechanistic thought patterns, as well as becoming accustomed to observe, to listen, and to feel, as opposed to instruct, to quantify, and to predict. You are free to choose whichever paradigm you prefer to follow, whichever paradigm you feel more comfortable with. But if you prefer to remain deep within the mechanistic paradigm, if you're not interested in exploring with a curious mind, if you're not open to taking a leap of faith, then this program might not be for you.